Happy NFL Week 7, everyone. Welcome into the PHLY Bets show. I am Jamie Lynch. I am here to help you take some of bet365's money. Ideally, we'd like to win all of our bets, but it's tough out there. But this is all made possible by our friends over at bet365. Download the bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. And whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at bet365. All right, happy NFL Week 7 to all out there. We got a big one today with Saquon Barkley's return home to his old stomping grounds, the Birds, in not a must-win situation, but certainly would feel much better about the direction of the season win. And a lot of great games across the board today. The game in London is already underway, and that's a Patriots-Jaguars slot fest that we probably wouldn't have touched anyway. So let's just pick it up with a couple of the league trends that are happening before we dive into some of the games and some of the player props that jump out to me, particularly in the Eagles-Giants game today. All right, a couple of league trends to be aware of. Road favorites finished 9-0 straight up and against the spread in Week 6, and they are 12-0 straight up and against the spread in the last 2 weeks. Again, the road favorites, 9-0 last week, 12-0 over the last 2 weeks, straight up and against the spread. This would be the most covers in a single week against the spread by the road favorites since the merger in 1970. So certainly a bit of an oddity there. The NFC North. Well, if you're a big divisional bettor, the NFC North should be your bread and butter this year. Against the spread, they are 18-4 at an 82% rate entering this Week 7. The best against the spread win percentage for any division through 6 weeks of a season in the wild card era. That's dating back to 1990. The Vikings, 5-0 against the spread. Bears, 5-1 against the spread. Lions, 4-1 against the spread. And the Packers, 4-2 against the spread. That is simply remarkable. NFC North is a beast this year. It's the fourth. If you're and K-Red, what up? Happy Sunday to you. Let's take some of Bet365's money. If you've had a couple rough weeks, I know our own Rich Hoffman in our newsletter has said it's tough out there this year. Well, you're not alone, my friends. It's the fourth worst starting for the public through 6 weeks of an NFL season. But last weekend, the public won 10-3-1 against the spread. In the majority of the picks. So keep that in mind this weekend. The books might have lost something last weekend. It might have been one of those Joe Public weekends. Usually when that happens, look for those kind of, fade yourself a little bit. Maybe sometimes go opposite of your gut reaction because it could be tough out there today. All right, let's pick it up with Eagles-Giants. This is the big one we all care about. Saquon Barkley's return to New York. So the Eagles are 20-9 straight up and 18-11 against the spread when looking for revenge after a loss to a team in their previous matchup. Remember, the Eagles lost to the Giants at the end of last year. They're 13-6 against the spread in dating back to 3 seasons back to 2022. In his career, Jalen Hurts is just 7-15-1 against the spread as a favorite away from home. 7-15-1 as a favorite away from home. In the last 20 years, he's the 4th least profitable quarterback as a favorite away from home. Hurts is 1-5-1 against the spread in his last 6 starts in this exact situation. Not a good trend for Jalen Hurts there. In the week following the post-bye week game, the Eagles are 3-1 against the spread under Nick Sirianni, and road unders with Jalen Hurts have been the way. This is the way lately. Even after the Eagles-Bucs game went over 2 weeks ago, Jalen Hurts is 19-11 to the under on the road in his career, including 9-3 since the start of last season, the best mark of any quarterback in the NFL. So keep that in mind. If you're an unders bettor, there's certainly a lot to say go with the under in this one. Currently, let's dive into the numbers here on the Eagles-Giants game, as there has been a little bit of movement here and there, but the Eagles look like they're settling in at -3. Over-under on this one is 42.5. If you want the Eagles money line, you got to lay -160 there to get it. Couple player props that jumped out to me on this one. I do believe Nick Sirianni is going to feed the beast and make sure Saquon Barkley is very involved in this game to make sure John Mara, the Giants owner, really regrets leaving him, letting him walk for a couple $1 million. So I'm going to take a Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown for a, let's say a 50 spot. I'm going to put on that. You have to lay minus 163, but I'm also going to sprinkle a little bit on the first touchdown at plus 333. The great thing there would be, of course, he scores first and you hit both, but chances are it's hard to score, first touchdowns. So he could get it during the game. So I'm kind of covering my bases there with a anytime and then a little bit of a lesser bet on the higher odds first touchdown, kind of hedging myself a little bit. Jalen Hurts, I like the over 257.5 combined passing and rushing yards in this game. You can get that right now on Bet365 for plus 115. Malik Neighbors, I think he's going to draw a lot of Quinyon Mitchell today with Darius Slay a little nicked up. I like his under 75 yards. That's under the player milestones, under the player props. Yeah, only have to lay minus 115 to get Neighbors under 75 with what Quinyon's been doing out there. I like that one a little bit. And then Singletary, the Giants running back, I'll take him over 50 rushing yards. And the reason I would take that is because the number's pretty nice on this. You get a plus 165 return on something that should be, fairly obtainable. So I like those player props. Eagles, I'm not going to touch this game as a gambler. The Eagles should be able to take care of this, but I don't know. Something with this team is funky. That Jalen Hurts road favorite number, I hate. So I have no confidence in the Eagles. I do think they win, but no confidence to bet it at all. Daniel Jones hasn't thrown a home touchdown pass in like 22 months. It would be fitting that the Eagles are the first team to get that broken on. All right, let's get to the other games on the slate. The Bengals and the Browns. The Bengals are a 5.5-point road favorite in Cleveland. Over under on this one is 41.5. Money line the money line is minus 250 if you want to lay the Bengals in that regard. The Browns have yet to score 20 points this season and have a 200-yard passing game. They are absolutely terrible. They're the first team to start a season without reaching either of those marks through 6 weeks since the Cleveland Browns in 1999. They did it through 7 games. A pretty weird Joe Burrow trend in this one. Joe Burrow is 1-5 straight up versus the Browns compared to 34-23-1 straight up versus all other teams. Cleveland is Joe Burrow's least profitable opponent on the money line in his career. Weird. This Cleveland defense is not a top 5 unit like it has been in years past. They're very much middle of the pack, mid defense. They still have Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and some really nice players, but it's not the same formidable, terrifying defense it has been in years past. So maybe that trend changes there. Underdogs in the AFC North divisional games have been a cash cow. They are 45-30 since 2018. That's a 60% click. Best of any division, and they are 500 against the spread or better in 7 straight seasons, where they are 23-15 against the spread since 2021. The Browns are 8-16 against the spread against AFC North teams under coach Kevin Stefanski. Of the 151 coaches in the last 20 years to coach at least one divisional game, Stefanski's is the second least profitable mark, just ahead of old Dolphins coach Joe Philbin. So Kevin Stefanski does not perform well against division opponents. A lot telling you to take the Bengals in this one. And it's really amazing how bad Deshaun Watson is. 62 quarterbacks have played at least 200 plays since the start of 2022. Watson is 56th in EPA per play and 56th in success rate. I feel comfortable taking the Bengals there minus the 5.5. If they put up anything over 24 points, you feel great about their chances to cover because Cleveland just can't put 20 points on the board. All right, next up, the Detroit Lions in a battle of the NFC North, which we talked about earlier being a cash cow against the spread machine, the NFC North. Well, the Detroit Lions without Aiden Hutchinson are +1 at Minnesota to face the boogeyman and Brian Flores' defense. Over under on this one is 50.5. Money line is pretty much a straight split there. So this is a great start for the Minnesota Vikings. Their preseason win total was only 6.5. They're 5-0. The only team since 1990 to start 5-0 with a win total below 7 was the 2009 Broncos and the 1999 Rams. So the Vikings joined some rare company there. We talked about Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores being the boogeyman. Well, his defense is first in EPA per play, first in total quarterback pressures. And by the way, they have 16 more than second place. They're tied for third in sacks in just 5 games played. Minnesota defense is the real deal. Undefeated teams on 13-plus days rest are 27-15 against the spread since 2003. Coach versus the division. Well, Dan Campbell's 14-8 against the spread versus his division, the 4th best since he's joined Detroit. Jared Goff is 26-16-1 against the spread, including 13-5 as Lions quarterback, the 2nd best since he's joined Detroit. So Dan Campbell and Jared Goff are secretly against the spread darlings here. I do kind of think the Vikings magic runs out a little bit this week. I would take the Lions +1 or just take the money line -105 in that one. Jahmyr Gibbs continues to get discounted, I think, in his performances. So you might look at a Jahmyr Gibbs over there on rushing yards. That could be a fun one. All right, next up, Houston Texans +3 at the Green Bay Packers. This is another good game here. Over-under on this is 48.5. The Texans are +135 on the money line. This is the first underdog situation for Houston this season. So this is uncharted territory for them. They've been a favorite every single game. So this is the 8th NFC team CJ Stroud has faced in his career, and he's just 2-5 against the spread in those games to date, compared to 9-7 against the spread versus the AFC. Over the last decade, there is no harder second road game in a row to play than Lambeau Field. Teams that were on the road the week leading up to Green Bay that follow up with the second game in Lambeau are just 7-16-1 against the spread and have failed to cover the spread by 3.1 points in that situation. Matt LaFleur has done an incredible job facing above 500 teams. He's 28-15 against the spread, 5th best mark of any coach since 2003. The other 4, Bill Belichick, John Harbaugh, Sean Payton, Mike Tomlin, and Matt LaFleur. So some really good coaches in that company. That being said, give me the Packers -3 in this one. I think they take care of it. All right, 2 good games in a row, and then this one kind of sucks. The Dolphins and the Colts. The Dolphins are on the road in Indianapolis, 3-point road dog. Over-under on this is 43. This game kind of stinks, not going to lie. Probably not touching this one. In the 8 games without Tua Tagovailoa, they're scoring 21 points or less in 7 of 8 games. The Dolphins are just a not good football team without Tua. 40 quarterbacks have played at least 40 plays this season, and Skylar Thompson is 40th, last in success rate. He is not good. The Dolphins are 0-5 against the first half spread this season. So if you're one of those half bettors, which there's a lot of, there's a lot of smart bettors that are because of trends like this. 0-5 against the first half spread this season. One of 2 teams without an against the spread win in the first half this year. We know the other one well. That's the Philadelphia Eagles. And if Anthony Richardson starts, which he might be on track to, check those inactives. This could be the biggest line as a favorite of his early pro career. He closed -3 against the Packers earlier this season when they lost 16-10. So, yeah, give me – if it's Joe Flacco, definitely give me the Colts. But I don't see how you can bet the Dolphins with any sort of confidence right now. Seahawks and Falcons is next up. This is a pretty decent game. Right now, Seahawks +3. Over-under on this one is 51.5 at bet365. Some trends and information on this one. Seattle, since 1990, is the 18th team to start 3-0 against the spread and then drop the next 3 straight games. Those teams are 5-11-1 against the spread in this situation, this game upcoming, with the under going 12-4-1. So if you just are somebody that buys trends, that's screaming, take the Falcons and the under. Geno Smith is much better as an underdog in his career, which is kind of fascinating, than as a favorite. Geno Smith is 11-17-2 against the spread as a favorite in his career, and 22-19-2 against the spread as a dog. So, that's something. As a favorite over 4 points or more, he's 2-9 against the spread in his career. As a dog, he struggled lately, going 4-9 against the spread in his last 13 games. Kirk Cousins appears on the upswing a little bit here. His last 3 starts have gone over the total after a streak of 9 straight unders dating back to last year. The Falcons have covered the spread in 2 straight and are entering this game versus the Seahawks with those 2 straight. Dating back to 2020, a total of 73 games, the Falcons have only covered 3 straight games or more once back in 2020. That being said, I think they add another one to that weird trend. Give me the Falcons minus the 3. I think the Seahawks, tough spot here. They've hit a cold streak. All right, next up, Tennessee Titans at the Buffalo Bills. The Titans are plus 9.5. Over under on this one is 41 and plus 375 if you believe the Titans can pull off the road upset. There's been 158 quarterbacks who have started at least 10 NFL games in the past 20 years. Will Levis's 2-12 against the second half spread is the worst in terms of a win percentage of all 158 quarterbacks. He's just hitting 14% of his second half bets. That means your offense is not going to be crawling back into any games. He is not Captain Comeback. He disappears. He's not bad in the first half numbers if you look at some of his splits, but the second half where it matters most, he's terrible. Hard to kind of bet that. Josh Allen, he has closed out as a 4-point favorite or more 27 times over the last 3 full seasons, and the Bills are 9-17-1 against the spread in those games. Of the 46 quarterbacks to close over 4 points or more during that span, Allen's 9-17-1 mark is the worst. So Josh Allen, not great in this situation. And half bettors we talked about before. Will Levis has made 14 starts. That 9-5 first half against the spread, 2-12 second half against the spread. Outside of Monday Night Football, Will Levis is 0-12 second half quarterback against the spread in his career. So if you're a second half better, just load up on Josh Allen and the Bills in the second half on this one. Next up, Panthers Commanders. This is the first 4:00 game of the afternoon. The Panthers, well, they stink. Jayden Daniels, he doesn't stink. The Panthers plus 9.5. Over under on this one is 51.5. You can get the Panthers plus 375 if you believe. The Commanders, well, they do stink as a big favorite. Over the last 30 years, Washington is just 13-40 against the spread as a favorite of 6 points or more. The worst mark of any team in the NFL. Jayden Daniels wasn't there before, so we won't hold that against him. If you're a touchdown prop better, well, some smart money would be to start playing Deontay Johnson touchdown marks. He has turned into a touchdown machine. He scored in 3 of his last 4 games with the Panthers, including 8 of his last 13 games overall. He had a regular season stretch of 21 games without a touchdown between 21 and 23. That is over. Deontay Johnson is a good bet to make to catch a touchdown right now. So think about that one. The Washington Commanders, their offense is humming. Nearly 62% of their drives are ending in an offensive score, which is the best in the NFL. 41.1 net yards per drive, third best in the NFL, behind just the 49ers and the Ravens, and almost 50% conversion rate on third down, the second best in the NFL. The Panthers are terrible. I hate lying big lines in this one, but the Commanders can score points. I'm going to roll with them minus the 9.5 in this one. I take a little sip of water there. These games are making me thirsty. These pretzels are making me thirsty. All right, next up, the Las Vegas Raiders are plus 7 at the Los Angeles Rams. Over under on this one is 43.5. Matthew Stafford He's been an issue with the Rams on extended rest games, where he's just 4-8-1 against the spread since 2021. It's the worst against the spread mark of 75 quarterbacks in that span. So Matthew Stafford, I guess, takes a little while to get that body back through the rigors of the NFL season. Not good coming out of the bye. Dating back to the Rams-Bengals Super Bowl in 2022, Sean McVay is 0-7-1 against the spread on extended rest as a coach of the Rams. These guys do not like slowing down in the middle of the season. They just got to keep going. Sean McVay's, he was 12-8-2 before the Super Bowl in previous situations. So something weird happened. They don't like rest anymore. Rams are the first team since 2022 to have a win percentage of 20% or less and be listed as a favorite of 6 points or more after the month of September. Rams have lost 2 in a row. Teams off back-to-back losses followed by a bye week are 16-10 straight up and 18-8-1 against the spread since 2020. Sean McVay has had divisional opponent success in his career, going 28-18-1 against the spread, compared to just 39-42-3 against the spread versus non-divisional opponents. So Sean McVay really shows up well. Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, it doesn't really matter. The Raiders are terrible. Teasers are a sucker's bet, as they say. This game is prime for a tease to me. I would think the Rams tease down and an over on this one would be a fairly safe play. Now, here's another good game at 425. I assume this is the game of the week. The Kansas City Chiefs are traveling out to, I won't call it San Fran. It's like Santa Clara. The 49ers and Levi Stadium. Patrick Mahomes as an underdog in his career. He's 10-3 straight up, 11-1-1 against the spread as a dog. And right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are plus 1.5 in San Fran tonight. So there's some trends. If you like Patrick Mahomes as an underdog, feel free to fire away because those are pretty good numbers. I always personally hate betting against Patrick Mahomes, but this number is so weird to me that I'm going to bet the 49ers tonight. I'm like kind of just going reverse my own brain and intuition. So I'm going to go 49ers in this one, but Patrick Mahomes as an underdog. I don't like reading that. Andy Reid since 2020 has been a dog off of a bye 4 times. He's 4-0 against the spread and 4-0 straight up. The Chiefs joined only the 1990 49ers as the only teams in NFL history to start 5-0 after winning back-to-back Super Bowls. Sheesh. Patrick Mahomes is 10-3 straight up as an underdog, as we talked about, 11-1-1 against the spread. Mahomes is 24-10 straight up, 25-8-1 against the spread in his career as a favorite of 3 points or less or as an underdog. Over the last 3 seasons, he's 16-2 straight up on road or neutral game sites, beating that opponent in their previous meeting. And, of course, they beat the Niners recently in a Super Bowl. Overall, tight spread games versus good teams has been a good spot for Kyle Shanahan and the Niners. He is 20-9 against the spread versus teams above 500 straight up when the spread is 4 points or less in the game. That's the 4th best mark of 137 coaches since 2003, behind only Harbaugh, Belichick, and Mike Tomlin. I'm going to take the 49ers in this one. All the things I read, I hate betting against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. All the trends say to take the Chiefs, but I think the public's going to be all over the Chiefs in this one, which makes me want to go George Costanza opposite day on it. So I'm just going to go with the 49ers and see how it treats me. All right, Sunday Night Football. New York Jets at the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 storied franchises. The Jets are -2 at Pittsburgh. Over-under is 39. And if you want the Jets money line, you got to lay -135. The Jets and the Giants, well, they're just a combined 4-31 straight up, playing at night in prime time since 2019. 4-31 straight up playing in prime time at night. That is remarkable. That's the Jets and the Giants. So MetLife just stinks. The Jets and Giants are now a combined 4-31 since 2019, as we talked about. The Steelers are 24-16-1 against the spread since Ben Roethlisberger's departure at the end of the 21 season. Pittsburgh is the third most profitable team against the spread in the NFL in that span, only behind the Lions and the Giants. Incredible. Russell Wilson, expected to start, is not good in night games. If he gets to start, he is 24-7-3 against the spread in night games with the Seahawks in 2012 to 2018. Since then, he's just 7-16 against the spread in night games. Not the same guy he used to be. Dating back to 2012, the Jets are an unbelievable 0-19 straight up and 1-18 against the spread in the game directly after facing the Bills. That's a weird one, but that's a fairly big trend there. All right, now we got 2 Monday night games, and then we'll wrap it up and hopefully take all of Bet365's money, right? Make sure you're using code PHLY365 when you sign up to find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. All right, the double Monday night header here. We got the Baltimore Ravens at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Starts at 8:15. The other game starts at 9. I don't know why they do this. It's very strange. You'd think they'd stagger them a little better, but maybe the halftime syncs up. I don't know. So the Baltimore Ravens are a 3.5-point favorite at Tampa Bay. Over under on this one is 49.5. You got to lay minus 190 to get the Ravens. I'm just going to come out and say it. I love the Ravens in this one. I'm going to take them minus 3.5 myself. Lamar Jackson. Well, he's faced an NFC team 23 times in his career. He's 22-1 straight up, 11-11-1 against the spread in those games. His only loss was against the Giants in 2022. Todd Bowles, he's in a tough spot in this one. The second matchup has not been great for opposing coaches. Since the start of last season, coaches in their second game against Lamar Jackson are just 1-8 straight up and 1-7-1 against the spread. Over the past 4 seasons, Lamar Jackson is 7-1 against the spread as a dog, but 18-21-1 against the spread as a favorite, including 7-18-1 against the spread, one favored by 3 or more points. In the regular season, Baker Mayfield has played on Monday Night Football 6 times, and he's just 1-5 straight up. 0-4 against this, or 1-5 also against the spread, with his only win coming after his first Monday night start in 2019, where he faced Trevor Siemian and the Mets. The Jets with Trevor Siemian and Luke Falk at quarterback. They double team that game. Disgusting. Hard not to like the Ravens a little bit here. They're probably playing the best all-around football. Tampa Bay has come back to earth a little bit. And then the final Monday night game, the LA Chargers at the Arizona Cardinals. Chargers -2. Over-under is 44. You can lay minus 130 with the Chargers to get that one. They're winning. Offensively, it's not pretty, but I guess who cares when you're getting the W's. In the regular season, Justin Herbert is 6-1 against the spread on the road in night games. With a cover this week, Herbert would become the third most profitable quarterback on the road at night since 2003, just behind Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. Herbert is 3-0 against the spread on the road in Monday Night Football in his career. Jim Harbaugh, also a Monday Night Football freak. He's 6-0 straight up and 5-1 against the spread. Those were during his days with the 49ers. But over the last 3 seasons, the under is 24-11 in Justin Herbert's 35 regular season starts. The most profitable quarterback to the under during that span. Kyler Murray, well, he's had success in his career when listed as a dog. He's 27-17-2 against the spread as a dog, and has been 500 against the spread or better as an underdog in each of his last 6 seasons in the NFL. Since he entered the NFL, he's the second most profitable quarterback against the spread as an underdog, only behind Jared Goff. So give me, in this one, no real strong feelings in this game. I'd probably take the home dog a little bit here with the Arizona Cardinals. But that's the games out there. There's some information for you. Threw together a little same game parlay here for the Eagles game today. And don't forget, keep your eyes peeled for our PHLY custom odds boost. There's one right up there on the homepage today that's Saquon Barkley specific. But the one I threw together today, a little plus 900 spot. Eagles money line, Saquon anytime touchdown score, Saquon over 81.5 rushing yards, Devontae Smith over 75 receiving yards. A little 9-1 action for you. Bet number 2, love the 49ers on my George Costanza opposite pick, because I think everybody's going to be all over the Chiefs. Give me the Niners there. And then bet number 3, give me the Falcons. Seahawks, tough spot on the road, a little bit of a losing streak. Kirk Cousins and the Falcons starting to play pretty well. So those are 3 bets I'm throwing in on Bet365 today. You can find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Now, good luck to everybody in week 7 out there. It's been tough sledding. Don't forget the public won last weekend, so be smart and maybe fade yourself like I'm going to do. Best of luck to everyone, and we'll see you this upcoming week for another edition of PHLY Bets, brought to you by Bet365. Find out why it's never ordinary. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up, and you can get $200 in bonus bets. See you soon.